What's going on, folks? This is Mr. Coleon Noir, and what I want to do here today is kind of give you a shooting review of the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 and the Glock 17 Generation 4. Now, these two guns are arch enemies. They each approach the same task in a different manner, but for the most part, they're almost essentially the same type of gun. Some would even go so far as to say that the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 is a copy of the Glock. Well, let's put these guns through the paces and find out. When you fire the Glock 17, you realize instantly why people love it so much. It is an iconic gun. It's Glock's first gun ever made. And to be honest with you, I totally understand why this gun receives the praise that it does. The recoil management on this thing is absolutely beautiful. And the 19 was good, but the 17 is even better. I love the grip. It's absolutely comfortable and even more comfortable in the Generation 4 variants. So I have to say that when it comes to recoil, the Glock 17 absolutely gets the job done. When we talk about recoil management in the Smith & Wesson M&P 9, this is where things get a little weird. Because as much as I love the Glock 17 and how it handles the recoil of the 9mm round, the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 takes that and kind of multiplies it by 2. Yeah, kind of like that. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the M&P and the way it handles the recoil that it does a much better job than the Glock 17 and feels a lot softer and almost makes you feel like you can control the gun a lot better than you can the 17. And it really makes you feel comfortable shooting the gun fast. Now, as far as the trigger on the Glock 17, well, you heard the saying, you felt one Glock trigger, you felt them all. The Glock 17 trigger is your typical standard 5.5 pound trigger pull with a very tactile, very audible reset, and it is a good trigger. It's not the greatest, it's not bad, but it's really good. In past reviews, I've given the trigger on the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 a very hard time because when you dry fire it, it doesn't have a very tactile or audible reset, and it can get a little annoying. But the good thing about the Smith & Wesson M&P is when you start to fire it with live rounds, the whole character of the trigger changes completely. You still don't have an audible reset or a tactile reset, but the trigger is good. I wouldn't say go so far as to say it's better than the Glock trigger, but the trigger is actually a lot better than people give it credit for. When it comes to the sights on the Glock 17, much like any other Glock, I only have really one word to say about it. Garbage. I hate the standard sights on the Glock, and I always will. Now, as far as the sights on the Smith & Wesson M&P 9, I have to say that I'm a fan of the 3-dot Novak style sights on the Smith & Wesson M&P. To me, they're a lot better than the dot U-box style sights that come stock with the Glock, and I'll take the 3-dot sights over that any day, hands down. Yeah, the concussion. As far as the accuracy on the Glock 17, I always say that I will always simply be combat effective with any Glock in my hand, and that I never will be a bullseye shooter with the Glock. And except maybe for the Glock 30. But for the most part, the gun is really accurate. I'm pretty sure there are people who can shoot at light years better than I could. But for the most part, it gets the job done, and I have no complaints. I have to be honest, as hard as it is for me to say this, the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 makes you a better shooter. At least in my hands, it does. It points naturally, it aims naturally, and I can acquire the sights a lot quicker. And I'm just more accurate with the gun, and there's something about the trigger that also aids in that as well, as bad as I've said it is before in the past. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm a Glock fanboy, self-proclaimed. I have no problems admitting that. So yes, there are certain biases I have towards Glocks whenever I do a review. But at the same time, I'm not naive and I'm not blind to what's blatantly apparent. And I would honestly have to say, if it came down to it and I was forced to choose between the M&P 9 and a Glock 17, I would take the M&P 9. It just feels better in my hand, it's more comfortable, and that comfort level allows me to shoot the gun better. And I enjoy shooting the gun more than I enjoy shooting the Glock 17. I really do. So from that standpoint, if I had to choose between the two, I'd go with the Smith & Wesson M&P 9.
Y'all,